is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL. It's Friday, y'all. February 12th. Did that come out all right? I said y'all. I threw it in there.
Y'all, I think it's the y'all threw you off.
I did, because I was like really, I was dedicated to it. And then halfway through, I'm like, dude.
You went full y'all. You never go full y'all.
Bail. I'm here with my friends Brandon and Stephanie. How you guys doing?
Awesome, it's Friday.
Y'all's is doing awesome.
And also it's Valentine's weekend.
Right?
It's Valentine's weekend.
Are you a big Valentine's Day person?
It's more because it's Erica Cobb, our co-host, that's here with us on a Wednesday's birthday. So I'm really happy for her. And I think what a cool birthday to have Valentine's Day.
That was a great deflection.
Great job.
Great job. How about you, Brandon? Are you a Valentine's Day guy?
My Valentine is in the Netherlands, so it's just going to be it's going to be digital. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a true COVID romance.
It is. It is.
It is.
Shh.
What?
Don't give the tea.
All
Come on,
right.
we got a show to do.
Ooh, this might be a better show. We're gonna get back to some of this, but let's get to some stories. Justin Timberlake, well, he's apologized after being criticized for how he's treated women throughout his career. Justin has been under fire ever since a New York Times documentary about Britney Spears aired last week. The doc looked at how Britney was shamed after Justin accused her of cheating on him. He also bragged about having slept with her on a radio show. In his apology to Britney, Justin said, quote, "I'm deeply sorry for the times in my life where my actions contributed to the problem, where I spoke out of turn or did not speak up for what was right." Went on to say that he benefited from a system that condones misogyny and racism. He also specifically mentioned Janet Jackson in his apology, which I like. Everyone remembers the wardrobe malfunction at the 2004 Super Bowl. Many people thought Justin let Janet take the fall as she received most of the backlash from that. I want to get back to Britney. Let's dissect this a little bit.
Yeah.
The Janet thing, she did have kind of a fall from that. Her career was sky high, and it kind of fell down after that moment, right?
Oh, yeah, I think it actually did. And I mean, I think we all would be very naive to think that wasn't meticulously planned and staged.
I thought so, too.
I thought it was as well.
I mean, I heard that from people that worked on that set, and it was kind of like, I don't think Justin didn't know that was going to happen, but I think her team had maybe coordinated some of that.
That's where my confusion comes in. Why the fallout, if it was planned? I mean, it was a moment we all remember, right?
Yeah, it was a big moment, but it did cost her a lot of, fans. And what we need to remember is the Super Bowl is a family show, and it was, inappropriate at the time. But moving away from that, I think Justin himself, I'm glad he said he benefited, because it's true, he absolutely did. And it's something that not only he, but his entire team profited from for years after he and Britney broke up. So obviously he and Britney, just to give a bit of a history, met in 1992 on the set of the Disney show that they both worked on. They were only around 12 years old at the time. They dated for a decade. They broke up in 2002. Sorry. And then he played very much the role of how she cheated on him, and he went on to orchestrate that and show that to the world via his music, his songs. So he then had Cry Me a River, in which he portrayed Britney as being unfaithful. She then responded a year later with Every Time, and in which she's very vulnerable, she's crying, and she says literally in the song, "Please forgive me." She was very upset and said, "Please forgive me" in the song. And only then for 3 years later, in 2006, he comes back with What Goes Around Comes Around, and he's like aiming that at Britney Spears too. So I think his team completely took advantage of the situation and kept that train going to keep everyone, the ultimate American heartthrob that was devastated by Britney. But
all right, that's a take.
Yeah, but
that's what's up.
Well, I just feel like they really profited from it, and I understand how and why, but I think, I think he was a very young man still at the time. He was in his early 20s.
I want to get Brandon's take on this, because, listen, heartbreak's heartbreak. I don't care if you're Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake. He got his heart broken. She cheated on him. I hate this, we don't know for sure. We know for sure. She cheated on him. He got his heart broken in front of all of America. It hurts enough when you're in your hometown, in your high school, and your girlfriend cheats on you. That hurts. I've been through that. Let it go through the tabloids and everyone kind of pointing at you, making fun of you, showing the dude that took your girl. That's not cool, man.
No, not at all. I think it's cool that he came back with that apology though and said how he benefited off that.
20 years later.
But I understand, but he didn't have to apologize back then. Like he said, he was benefiting from his
now
wrongs.
because his name is getting drudged up and people are re-seeing it for what it really was.
You can't cancel Justin Timberlake. There's some certain people who are too big to be canceled. So I feel like to him, he doesn't have to say anything.
Cancelled, but I think I feel bad. I feel he was a very young gentleman at the time.
He's matured. Yes.
His team around him profited and encouraged that train to keep on going.
Who doesn't, though? Who doesn't see
the case of Britney Spears, where she's having a mental breakdown, I think, enough becomes enough.
Listen, I respect all the opinions, but it's when is enough? He apologized. I think Justin Timberlake's in a way better place than Britney Spears. What happened 20 years ago, you could let go. It doesn't mean at the time you didn't go through some sort of heartbreak. All this woe is me for Britney. She profited a little herself, too.
Okay, I just think if something happens in 2002 and you drag it out as everyone feels so sorry for me until 2006, I mean, come on. Seriously?
All right.
Please. He's very
It's
talented.
Valentine's Day weekend. Let's move on. Let's love, be love. All right. Bachelor Nation is also facing some big controversy over one of its contestants. Rachel Kirkconnell, who is competing for Matt James's heart in this season of The Bachelor, is apologizing after photos of her at a plantation-themed party resurfaced. The photos that were posted on Reddit show Rachel with her sorority sister enjoying an Old South bash on a plantation in 2018. Rachel says she didn't recognize how offensive and racist her actions were at the time. She says she was ignorant, but her ignorance was racist. Meantime, Bachelor host Chris Harrison is also in hot water after he defended those pictures while speaking to former Bachelorette Rachel Lindsay on Extra. He said the pictures were not a good look, but said they shouldn't be judged by today's standards because they were from 2018. So yesterday, 25 women from this season said they were disappointed with Chris's statements and said they denounced any defense of racism.
Ooh, because there's two things on this one. The Rachel Kirkconnell girl, I don't think she should be canceled at all. Because like she said, that racism was could have been a form of ignorance. It's a teaching moment. Like, Jeff, I'm not trying to cancel everyone out there.
Absolutely.
Do I think that canceling everyone is going to end racism? Absolutely not. I am not that naive to it. I think that when we get to these moments, but the problem I do have is with Chris Harrison, because the way he was trying to double down, and yes, he was trying to defend some sort of actions back in 2018, saying like, oh, well, that's, 2018. We looked at it through that lens. You know what that sounded like to me? Megyn Kelly, when the whole blackface thing, where she was like, oh, well, back in the day, we all wore blackface. It was the cool thing to do. It was okay to do.
It.
To you, to your community, it was not offensive to your community. So I look at this and I'm like, we have to use this as a teaching moment, because if you think of The Bachelor, that and what they're trying to being forced to do now, modernizing love, because we have so many biracial families running through the United States. My brother and my sister-in-law and my biracial nieces and nephews, they have to be at the front of this. Chris Harrison, you've stepped in it with this one.
Yeah.
He has, if you're going to continue to be the host, you have to show that not only you and your opinion and your voice is inclusive, but the show has to push him to do that as well, because this is a hot show. Everyone watches this show. People, I mean, it gets great ratings, but pushing forward where we're going in America, where we're going with love, we can't have it. But we also just can't cancel everybody for things in the past. Otherwise, I wouldn't be up here for some of this stuff.
I'm with you, but here's where I kind of get worried. I'm not defending Chris Harrison. Is there room to maybe question something like, hey, I didn't know I was at a plantation and I just took this picture, or she didn't know, and then immediately you're going to get canceled because you just asked an innocent question that's something you were maybe ignorant about in the first place, right? That's where my skepticism comes in, because the whole Black Lives Matter thing, I'm down for it.
Yeah.
And it needs to happen, and I appreciate you mentioning biracial couples. But when it comes to that, and I have a question, and I'm like scared to ask it, and people are like, well, you better educate yourself because you're part of the problem. It makes me more silent because I'm scared to ask even a question, because I know it's ignorant, but I'm just trying to educate myself by asking, but apparently that's not the right way. So do you understand like how I could step in it like I am kind of now?
No, you're really not though. Who are you stepping into? It's the loudest tweet that we read that makes a tweet. But in terms of progression, we have to cross over those lines. You have to ask these questions. And even if we sit down, we're having a beer, I'm like, whoa, Jeff, it's 2021. We said this back in 2018, and why are you still asking the question?
Right.
We still have to ask that, because maybe I didn't explain that right, or maybe you're not seeing things because you grew up in a completely different environment than I grew up. Same with you, Stephanie. It's one of those things where I'm like, maybe being from both sides of the railroad tracks and being the only black kid on baseball teams and neighborhoods, I've seen some things, but at the same time, it's like, to progress, we have to be able to have uncomfortable conversations.
Exactly.
And
maybe
I don't want to cancel people.
Maybe I'm more comfortable with it growing up in sports, and like we go out after work, or We used to. The good old days.
We used to.
And I could ask those questions, right? And feel comfortable about that. And we just talk about it. And there was no repercussions from that. But if you do that in a public setting, do you feel this at all, Steph? Do you get
Oh,
what
no,
we're saying
absolutely. I think in particular when I moved from London originally to America, I used to have extensive conversations with Erica about it, our co-host I mentioned earlier. Yeah, I think at times she never made me, I was very lucky in the fact that she never criticized me or made me feel uncomfortable. She just spoke to me about it. And I was very ignorant and unaware, and I didn't really know, and I was just trying to wrap my head around it. But I think that's the most important thing. If your intentions are good and you're genuinely trying to understand, it might sometimes be uncomfortable, but that's the only way, as Brandon says, that anyone is ever going to move forward, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm with
like
you. I think, you know, we've all got so much to learn. We don't know everything.
Well, I do. Absolutely not. Coming up on DBL, inside the secret life of a Hollywood sex addict, one actress shares her emotional journey of redemption and salvation. And Jennifer Lopez is rocking a totally new hairstyle. Stephanie shows us next in Fashion Fix Friday. I almost said What Up Wednesday, Steph.
Welcome back to DBL. I'm Stephanie Jones, here to kickstart your weekend with a roundup of top style and beauty news, like the retro shoe trend, once considered ugly, now beloved by fashionistas, and we asked the classic age-old question: which celebrity wore it better? Stick around because it's Fashion Fix Friday. But first, check out Jenny from the Block's brand new locks. Jennifer Lopez debuted a tightly cropped pixie cut on the cover of Allure, a big departure from her signature sun-kissed waves. The stylist behind JLo's new look says it's a throwback to the 90s obsession with wet hair. And because I guess we all took a lot more showers in the 90s, or maybe less showers, which was it? But speaking of the 90s, do you guys remember Doc Martens? Of course you do, because they are still hanging around in your closet. And people love to brag, you know, I've had this pair since the 90s. Well, younger generations are discovering their love for Doc Martens too, but their trend has a twist. So Gen Z and millennial fashion bloggers are making the headlines for styling Doc Martens with chunky socks. To be seen, like, on purpose. Look, sometimes trends don't really make sense to me either, but it's great news for people who still have their old pair. You don't have to keep using "they're just so sturdy" as an excuse anymore to keep them around. Finally, if Rebel Wilson's red-hot red dress from the Super Bowl weekend gave you deja vu, that's because it's been previously worn by Meghan Markle. So Meghan rocked the red 1 year ago during a final appearance as a royal, and it got a lot of love then. And she glammed it up to her fit with a coordinating clutch and matching earrings, whilst Rebel kept hers more simple, using only red pumps as accessories. So, who wore it better? It's an easy answer. Both. It's a win for these twins. That's it for Fashion Fix Friday. Daily Blast Live will be back after this.
Welcome back to DBL. Actress Brianne Davis has been a recovering sex and love addict for 11 years. Today, she's spilling the tea in a fictionalized version of her past in her new novel, Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict. Earlier, Sam spoke with Brianne in today's DBL Spotlight.
Brianne Davis, welcome to DBL, actress, director, and now author. I'm glad that you're just talking about addiction in general. This is something that's near and dear to my heart as someone that goes to Al-Anon regularly. And can you put into perspective how it is the same disease as alcohol and drug addiction?
First of all, I want to say that sex and love addiction is the deadliest disease. It's actually worse than drugs and alcohol. We're addicted to people. We use, like alcohol uses a bottle, we use a person. The reason I think people don't understand it is because our society amplifies it. They glamorize sex, they glamorize falling in love, and they never show paying the bills, taking out the dog. We don't glamorize what a real relationship looks like. So we have this unrealistic expectation on another person.
What advice would you give to somebody who believes that they may be struggling with an addiction, a sex addiction or a love addiction? And what does rock bottom mean for you? What happened when you hit yours?
So my first advice would be there's 40 questions on Sex Love Addicts Anonymous. And if you answer yes to more than 5, this may be something you should look into. For me, my bottoms look like this. I found myself after a traumatic experience in my life where a mentor died. And I found myself 2 days later on a movie set, on location, about to blow up my relationship with my boyfriend I live with that I loved. And it just made me think, like, here's someone I love, I care about, you know, I would be best friends with, and I'm flirting with someone I don't even like. It was just this huge reality check for me. Like, it's me. The problem is me, not the other people.
Interesting. So what's it like to be in recovery from sex and love addiction, and how has it affected your romantic relationships? We just heard that story, but now that you are in recovery, how has that shifted?
Well, here's the beautiful thing I like to say. I'm still with the same man today.
Yes.
We've been together for 16 years. He, you know, it's not like I got sober in this program, then found the perfect partner, because there is no perfect partner. There is no soulmate. No one should complete you. You complete you. So on the other side, I have this freedom now as a woman too, that no one fills me, no attention fills me, no message fills me, no like on Instagram or TikTok fills me. I fill myself, and that is the best thing I have done for myself, and nobody can take that away.
Amen. I'm so happy that you're saying this, and I'm just so absolutely proud of your courage to speak out and to get help, because hopefully someone watching will say, that's me. I need to get help. So I believe that you will inspire other people to recover. So before we go, can you give us a sneak peek of what kind of trouble Roxanne gets into?
Oh my God, she gets in so much trouble. She gets caught and with 2 boyfriends, one in New York and one in LA. And she finds out, like, whoops, in the middle of her driveway. And then she has a botched threesome that's amazingly funny. And every story in here is based on somebody, but I'll never tell you who it is.
Oh, that is so juicy, Brianne. I love that, because then our minds can kind of run wild, right? So I'm glad that you gave us that little nugget. Very exciting. So to all of our viewers out there, be sure to pick up a copy of Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict, and tune into Brianne's Secret Life podcast for more stories of addiction and recovery. Brianne Davis, I appreciate you. I appreciate your honesty. Thank you for stopping by. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Welcome back to DBL. The pandemic has made it impossible for any spontaneous travel, but there are some safe and smart ways to plan a trip, and we're chatting about it in today's DBL Drive, sponsored by CarShield. One option, treat yourself to a staycation by spending the weekend at a nearby hotel and getting the spa treatment you deserve. Feels like I'm talking to myself. I will. Second, for outdoor lovers, book a boat trip within your state. Lastly, you can get out of your comfort zone by booking a weekend with your local adventure guide. Try something new like rafting or rock climbing. Just not here in Colorado because it's 3 degrees. For peace of mind, get an auto protection plan with CarShield. CarShield protects their members from the high cost of auto repairs. Call 1-800-505-9619 for a free quote.
Another thing from the Britney Justin thing. Remember, Justin hopped on that radio show and was bragging about how he took her
you could say virginity.
I just wanted to make sure. Yes, he apologized, but I can see why people don't think that that's enough. You know, you need to be a little bit more specific on your apology.
Brandon London on Valentine's Day weekends.
Yeah.
There you go, buddy. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you on Monday.